Hi, my name is Kay Young. I live in Overbrook, Oklahoma, and this is my horse Snowball. And we would like to talk to you today a little about the Equiwinner patch for equines. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself before we start. I'm a 7-time NFR competitor on 5 different horses. I've been training bell racing horses for 52 years. I've been a fraternity competitor for over 40 years. So I speak from experience when I tell you I have tried all the products out there, and I like natural better than pharmaceutical. So that's why we're talking about the patch today, is to perhaps educate the public a little bit on how it works. The bleeding is one of the things that we use it for. How do you know if a horse is bleeding? Well, the only truly true way you can know is if you do an endoscope on them 2 hours after performance. And the endoscope goes up the nose, goes down the throat, and then it looks into the lungs, and it can tell you if there's bleeding. Now, a lot of people do not have access to a veterinarian within 2 hours of competing. So, and sometimes I'm one of them. So what I like to do is I look for the symptoms that indicate a horse is a bleeder. And some of those symptoms would be not wanting to go in willingly, not turning the barrels correctly, not wanting to, and a lot of times they won't finish strong. They'll run pretty good to the first one, pretty good to the second one. By the third one, they're not running as hard and they can't run out. A lot of times you will not actually see blood coming out of the nostril. To be a bleeder, you do not have to see the blood. It can be leaking back into the lungs. And truly, the only way you can truly tell is if you do the endoscope. But I like to use the patch as a preventative because I think most horses have a tendency to bleed. I think 60 to 70% of race horses they have said are bleeders, so I see no difference. The barrel racing industry, the horses wouldn't be any different. Another reason we use the Equi patches is for metabolic balance. And metabolic means that they use their nutrition, their body functions good, the hormones are right, the digestive system is right, that everything is utilized properly. If they're not working metabolically, sometimes they'll get sore in the back, they'll get a tight back, they can't stride, and you have to reset the system. How do you do that? A lot of times you change the feed program, and the Equipatch winners also help with that. Another reason you use the Equipatch winners is if you have a horse that does not sweat. And a lot of horses will sweat on the neck but won't sweat in the flanks, and that's usually an indicator that a horse is a sweater, non-sweater. In other words, they sweat but they really don't sweat and they really retain the heat internally. So you have a lot of problems where they have a hard, you'll notice they have a hard time recovering from, after you've run them, their breathing is heavy, they don't come back to normal breathing quite as quick. You notice if it's a real hot or humid day, they'll be panting, they can't get their air as efficiently as a horse that's normal. So those are 3 of the things that I use the Equipatch winner for, and I've had success in all those areas. Another thing you might try this patch for, and I believe it would be very beneficial, is if you have a mare that's having hormonal problems, because that is part of the metabolic process and all the organs affect the hormones. So if they're not in balance with their electrolytes, then it's going to affect their hormones too. So one of the reasons I would try this patch is if I had a mare that was having problem cycling normally, or was cranky, or their back was sore, that would be another option for you to try before you started giving the hormone shots or doing the implants.